Hey, this is Dave coming at you from Michigan. Figured I'd do a little update video on how we've been doing with our plant nursery this year. We actually probably had more sales this year than we ever have, even though we've been busy building the house. We've been working pretty hard out here. I've been slacking the last couple weeks, and you can tell like the weeds have gotten really bad through here. I mean, look at how bad these weeds are in these irises. But some spots I've weeded pretty good. But I just wanted to do an update on what, just how the plant business is going and what I've learned about it, even through the past year or since I've done an update video. I think that basically, even though I've been selling a lot of plants, you can tell I still have a lot. I keep kind of replacing it as they sell. I just keep making new ones and keep putting them in their place. However, there are a decent amount of plants I have that haven't been selling, and it's because we have so many plants that I think we probably have about 5,000 plants in our nursery. And since I've been busy, I can only add so much. We had one weekend sale that we did really well over the weekend. I made more that weekend than I would have made in about 8 weeks as an electrician, if I count the weekend sale plus that entire week, because we actually had a lot of people come through, residual people from that ad through the rest of that entire week. So in 1 week I made more than I would have as an electrician. Now I also, in order to make that money, I worked probably 30 hours in the plant nursery to do it. But I mean, I think if I had to change things, this business can make a lot of money on the side if you're able to focus on it. At least if you're focusing on it, probably an hour a day, or just 1 day a week for 4 or 5 hours to maintain with the weeding. So what I think I'm going to do, and it's not me not succeeding in it, it's actually sometimes you have to realize you have to cut back on certain things in order to succeed. I would make just as much money, if not more, if I downsize my nursery to about half of this. In other words, instead of having, I think I've got, what do we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, might as well call that 7.5. We probably have about 7 to 8 rows of plants, when in fact, since I've been busy and I can't do this full time, if I had about 3, maybe 4 rows of plants, I would be able to sell 90% of my plants and then just bring in the new plants. And in other words, it would be a lot easier to manage than you're basically, right now I'm managing 8 rows of plants, and throughout the season probably only selling 3 to 4 rows, if that makes sense. So then you get a lot more plants that are left over in the fall that you still have to maintain through the winter, and then you have to up pot into bigger pots. And sometimes, in previous videos I've talked about, sometimes even though the plants are worth more when you put them in a bigger pot and they get a little bit bigger, they're not worth, a lot of times, double the price. So in other words, a 1 gallon, like say these right here, these white halo red twig dogwoods sell for about $8 in a 1 gallon like this. Once I put it into a 2 gallon, say like these over here, you're probably selling them for about $12 a piece. So you're not even doubling your money. Now, when these get bigger and then they go into a 3 gallon, sure, they'll be able to be sold for probably between $15 to $18 a piece, because you're still beating the big box stores by a pretty big margin when you do that. But there is something to be said about, now the plants are bigger, they take up more room, and you put in a lot more work, double to sometimes triple the work, just to make double the money. So you're either breaking even or you're losing money by plants that continue to get bigger, but you're not selling them because you don't have the market yet. I have a really good market. I actually have a lot of return customers. I'd say that this year it was probably 30% were return customers. And that's pretty good when you've only been doing this for 4 or 5 years part-time. And but yeah, you can tell that there's so much weeding to do. I've been trying to, one thing I worked on today, and a lot of other plants have the same thing that have to be done to them, I have these trees that are patented. These are really nice trees. They're maple autumn blaze right here. What I did is I put stakes, I formed them up, I pruned them. They were just filled with weeds. You couldn't see it at all. Pull out all the weeds. Sometimes the weeds were so bad I had to actually pull the whole tree out of the pot inside. You got to pull the weeds off the side of the pot just to kind of rip the weeds out. Gave them a little tiny little bit more fertilizer. Even this little tree right here, you know, with trees you want to keep them going with a leader heading up properly. But these are nice and healthy. But let me show you, like look at these irises. Look at how bad the weeds are in here. You know, it's just, there's so much work. Like, let's just put it this way. I haven't worked back here in probably two weeks to 2.5 weeks. Like nothing, no watering, no weeding. And you really have to stay on top of it. It's not a ton of work, but it is when you just let it go. Then it kind of just, it slowly creeps up on you, and it's kind of depressing when you come out here and you see you have a lot of nice plants. But we are just focusing so hard right now on building our house. We're actually going to be doing an update. I'll do another video in the next couple days. We did end up getting our stairs in over there. We actually, my son and I built both sets of stairs and installed them in about 2 days per staircase. So that's not bad for a couple of guys that don't do carpentry for a living. And then we just started siding yesterday. So there's a lot going on over at the build site. But I just figured I'm home right now. It's a really nice day. The breeze is blowing nice, and figured I'd give you an update on what we're doing out here. We're still I'm just trying to focus on too many things. I have so many interests that I tend to just wander around. Oh, look at this, and then I get into that for a week, and then I come over here, oh, look at this, and I'll get into that for a week. But it's fun though. Oh, and we are actually today, after this video, I'm going to probably do another video after it's done, but I'm gonna do like a hydrangea cutting video. I've noticed a lot of people are interested in these hydrangeas, and I cannot keep these in stock. And that's another thing I've said in previous videos. It's hard to predict what the customers want. But this right here, I just watered it. That's why it's kind of leaning down. Plus these are, I mean, these blooms are, look at how big that bloom is. I mean, it's my hand. It's like, it's bigger than my hand. It's like twice the size. But I'm going to be doing some cuttings of this. So basically what I have to do, I don't really want to lose these flowers, but in order to get as many cuttings as you can, you have to just chop this all the way down. And then if I do it this time of the year, which is right now, it's July 17th, these will give a lot more cuttings for the winter cuttings, for hardwood cuttings. So I'm going to stock up on my Annabelle hydrangeas, because I sold out of those in the first 3 days of me selling real early this spring, and I can't seem to ever have enough of these. So that's what I'll be doing right after this video is done. Let me show you real quick. Oh, and here's an endless summer. This one's a gorgeous one. It's so hard to get these growing from cuttings because they don't survive the first winter. It's really hard to get the endless summer. Plus, you're not allowed to propagate them anyways, but I'm trying to just make a couple more for around the house here, and it's hard to get them to grow. I do like 4 or 5 of them this season, and I still haven't gotten one to survive. But once I get them big, if I get one big enough, I can put it in the ground and it will survive. But anyways, here's a little tray. I'm actually tempted to take these out right now and put them in a little pot, so I have access to the actual tray here. But right here, here's some I did last year. Looks like one even got a flower on it, see? But these are all healthy Annabelle hydrangeas in here. There's probably about 40 or 50 of them there. So I might up pot those. And then here's another. Oh, look, there's a toad. Hey, Mr. Toad. Don't worry, I'm not after you. This is another thing that I'm completely out of. I have like 4 or 5 of them, but they're not for sale because I'm trying to make them big enough. But yeah, emerald green arborvitaes right here. I have a tray full of them here, and I have a tray there, and I have some blue rug junipers. But I can't keep the Annabelle hydrangeas in stock, the arborvitaes, and hostas go fast too. I have not been advertising the hostas too much because I want to kind of bulk them up. So a lot of times I purposely don't advertise for some of the plants. Oh, and here's another one. These Arctic blue willows is a good example of, for some, they're a beautiful shrub, don't get me wrong, but they don't flower. What you see is what you get, pretty much just the turquoise blue kind of shrub that grows about 4 or 5 feet tall if you keep it pruned. If you just let it grow wild, it could probably get as big as 12 feet, but these are a beautiful accent shrub. But for some reason, I'm having a hard time selling them, to the point where, do I sell them at a huge discounted rate of like $7, $8 a piece when they're in a beautiful 2-gallon pot? So that kind of is like reinforcing the point I made earlier, where it's hard to know what to grow in what the future season, what people will want. It's really random, and I think I am going to slowly but surely downsize my rows and keep a smaller quantity of different types of plants, to where it's easier to manage and the rows match about how many I sell per year. And I think that I'll have an easier time doing it and still be able to do it and build my house at the same time, because the house builds a long-term project. It probably won't be over with for at least a couple more years, and I would still like to do this because this is really good income. It really is. I had a fella stop by randomly. It was a rainy day last week, and I was just kind of vegging, not really doing much, and a guy just messaged me like, hey, do you still have your dappled willows? And I said, yeah, and here's some right here. And then while he was here, he bought, I believe he took 15 of the dappled willows, and he took about 20 of the Stella de Oro daylilies right here. He took these out. That was from a previous party. And he just took a few of my purple sanctuaries over there, and it ended up being a $300 cash sale. And $300 might not be a lot to some people, but it is to me when you're just sitting at home not doing anything on a rainy day, and a guy shows up between the rain and buys $300 worth. And that's what really makes this business. Sometimes I get frustrated, and that's word of advice for anybody. If you get frustrated with stuff that you're doing, you'll have good days and bad days. And but that was a good day when someone shows up and buys them. What makes it a bad day is knowing that you're a little bit overwhelmed and you have all this weeding to do, and it's like one plant at a time. But anyways, that's the update I wanted to give. It's still just an awesome business. It's been bringing in some good side income this season, and I look forward to making future videos. And I might make like a quick little video once I get those Annabelles done, just to kind of have a little bit more content. All right, well, this is Dave signing off.